Back in the middle of June, the scale showed me my lowest number yet. And then a couple of days later, it started going back up. Now, if you go online, that right there is the moment everybody loses it. It stopped working. I broke it. I hit a wall at week 7. The whole internet is primed to panic the second that number goes the wrong way. Fortunately, I didn't. I've never been a panicker about this. I just watch the numbers and wait to see a real downward trend before I decide anything means anything. So I didn't decide. I kept weighing every morning, and I went and I did some reading, because what everybody feels here and what it actually means turned out to be two very different things. And I'll give you the honest update up front, because I hate it when a channel makes you wait. 3 weeks later, the scale's moving again. I'm at a new all-time low, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's fixed either, for the same reason I never told you that it was broken. I'm a service-disabled Air Force vet documenting his Zepbound journey through the VA. No spin, no hype. This episode is about the wall that wasn't there. The one the whole internet will try to convince you is real. Here's who this one's for. If you're a few weeks into one of these drugs and the scale just quit on you, and you felt that little drop in your stomach when it did, this is the one I wish somebody had handed me. Vets on Zepbound or Wegovy. Anybody on GLP-1 family staring at a number that won't move, and especially the person on the fence about even starting. Scared to death it's going to quit the second they commit. Quick version on me if you're new. Again, I'm 58, disabled Air Force vet, and a couple of months into Zepbound through the VA. I'm down about 15 pounds. Episode 1 is the VA approval and the why. Episode 3 is the first month and the scale lesson I'm going to build right in this episode. Both are linked below. Ground rules, and they matter more on this one. I'm not a doctor, and I'm definitely not your doctor. I'm just a vet reading the research out loud and telling you what I did with it. Two things here are real medical calls, not YouTube calls. Whether your stall is actually something more, and whether your dose should change. Both go through whoever's prescribing for you. I'll show you exactly how that worked in my case. Everything I bring up is linked in the description. So instead of reacting to a few days of the scale ticking up, I did the boring thing and I looked up what a plateau actually is. Not what it feels like at 6 in the morning staring at the bathroom scale. What the science actually calls one. And most people have it completely backwards. So what did the big Zepbound studies, the ones with thousands of people in them, actually count as a plateau? Not the scale sitting still for a week, not 2 weeks. They defined it as your weight changing less than 5% across a full 12-week stretch, and then every stretch after that. Think about that. 12 weeks. 3 months of the needle barely moving, and it keeps not moving. Now that's a plateau. What I had was the scale hitting a low, ticking up a few days, then going quiet for a couple weeks. If I'd reacted to that, I'd have been calling a handful of noisy days the same thing as a 3-month medical event. They're not even close. And it gets clearer when you look at when these actually hit people. In those same studies, the typical plateau didn't show up until somewhere between 6 and 9 months in. Call it week 24 on the early end, and on the late end, 36. By about a year and a half, yeah, nearly 9 out of 10 people had flattened out at some point. That part's real, and I'll cover it down the road. But the point is the map. Week 7, where I was standing, isn't even on it. Even the doctors who do this for a living won't use the word this early. The general line is a true stall, 4 to 8 weeks of no movement, minimum, before it's even worth calling anything. And look, I owe you something from the last episode, because I made you a promise. I told you to trust the weekly average over the daily number, because the average walks downhill. Well, for a couple weeks, mine went flat too. But here's the thing, I already knew going in a flat average for a week or 2 and a flat average for 3 months are not the same animal. One is your body taking a breath. The other one is a plateau. The whole trick is not confusing the two and not doing anything rash while you wait to find out which one you've got. So the honest headline is this: it wasn't a plateau. It was patience, and knowing the difference is the thing that keeps you from quitting a drug that's still working. So if it wasn't a plateau, why'd the scale go quiet at all? Because be patient is useless advice if you don't understand what's actually happening under the hood. So let me tell you, plain English, no lecture. The scale is not a fat detector. It weighs all of you at once. The water you're holding, the food still working through you, and a thing called glycogen, which is just the fuel your muscles store. And it drags around a bunch of water with it. When you start one of these drugs or step up a dose, you dump a chunk of that water and glycogen fast. That's a lot of that early quick drop, and it feels amazing. It's also not mostly fat, so some of that early weight came off easy because it was water, and water, for the most part, only leaves the building once. After that, you're into the slow, real work, and real work moves the scale a whole lot quieter. Now, the part that nobody likes to hear: your body is not on your side here. It's built to defend its weight. It's just ancient wiring in our DNA. And as you lose, it fights back 3 ways, all at once. 1, it turns the thermostat down. You burn a little less just sitting here than you did at 236 pounds. 2, the hormone that tells you you're full gets quieter. 3, the hormone that makes you hungry gets louder. That's not you being weak. That's homeostasis. Your body trying to drag you back to where it was comfortable, what it is accustomed to. The drug is fighting that fight for you, but it's still a fight, and sometimes the fight shows up as a flat scale for a couple of weeks. And there's a piece that's specific to me and maybe to you. I'd stepped up to 5 milligrams. A dose change is a reset. Your body spends a stretch recalibrating when the dose moves, and the scale can go quiet right while that's happening. So look at the timeline. I bump up the dose. I get a fast little whoosh down to a new low. That's the water leaving. Then the scale flattens while my body catches up. That's not the drug quitting. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. And sure enough, once it's caught up, the numbers started coming down again. And this is why the DEXA scan in August matters so much. The scale can't tell you what's leaving: fat, water, muscle. It lumps it all into one number. The DEXA pulls them apart. So when the scale is quiet, I'm not flying blind. I've got a real measurement coming. The scale is the rumor. The DEXA is the receipt. So knowing all that, here's what I actually did. And to be clear, this is what I did. It's not a prescription for you, but it might give you a playbook for the stretch where the scale goes quiet. First, I held the line. I didn't quit, and I didn't do the thing everybody's gut tells them to do, which is slash your food down to nothing to force the scale to move. That backfires. Your body's already turning the thermostat down. You starve it on top of that, and you just convince it there's a famine, and it digs in even harder. So I kept eating as I have been while on this medication, same as I always do. 250 grams of Greek yogurt with about 100 grams of berries and 2 scoops of protein powder in the morning, all mixed with water, and sometimes chili in the evening or some other protein. Nothing dramatic. Second, I'm leaning on protein hard. 2 reasons. It keeps you full when that hunger hormone's yelling, and probably more importantly, it protects your muscle while the weight comes off. And that one's personal, because muscle is the exact thing my DEXA measures, and I'm not going through all of this just to lose muscle. So protein every meal, and in my snacks, for the most part, it's non-negotiable. Third, I kept moving, specifically resistance work, not to burn calories. The workout barely dents that. I do it to give my body a reason to hold on to the muscle instead of letting it go. I'm giving my muscle the signal it needs to keep what muscle I have and hopefully create more. That's what keeps the August scan honest. I'm doing this through the VA's MOVE program, their free weight management program, and if you're in the VA system, it's worth asking about. Fourth, I gave it a window. The doctors say 4 to 8 weeks before a stall is even real, so that's the deal I made with myself. I don't get to call it anything until I've cleared that window. Until then, I weigh the trend, keep my head down, and just do the work. And the last one's the big one, so hear this, the dose. I'm on 5 milligrams, the lowest maintenance dose there is. This week I'm supposed to step up to 7.5, and going in I was actually leaning toward not doing it, just staying put at 5. Why? Because of what I'd been reading and hearing online. The same internet that wanted me to think I was plateaued now had me second guessing increasing my dose at all. So I did the one thing that made sense. I didn't decide it alone, and I sure didn't let a comment section decide it for me. I brought it up with my pharmacist, and here's the honest part about how this works, at least in my case through the VA. There's no blood test making this decision, no labs. She's going off what I tell her. So I told her the truth about how it's been hitting me. Little reflux, acid, or food coming back up on me here and there. Some mild nausea comes and goes. Never the doubled over kind. That's the honest list. It's real, but it's minor, it's livable, and the part that mattered most to her was it didn't stick around. A week or so, and it faded. Her read with that information was that I'm tolerating it fine and there's no reason to stay stuck at 5 because of fear. So I'm going to 7.5, not because the internet said so, not because the feeling said so, but because the person actually guiding my care looked at my real experience and said, go. So when I say don't self-adjust your dose, understand it cuts both ways. It's just as easy to freeze yourself on too low a dose out of fear as it is to jump up too fast. Same answer to both. Bring your real experience to whoever's prescribing and decide it together. That's the one line I'd ask you not to cross. Again, I encourage you to look and talk about it with your provider and listen to their experience with these drugs. Let me be square before the takeaway, because I seeded 2 thoughts and I owe you the payoff. I'm a vet documenting my journey. I'm not a doctor or a dietitian, and I'm not the person who should be deciding whether your stall is something more than a stall. That one's real. If your scale's been flat for months, not weeks, or something feels off, that's a conversation with your provider, not a comment section. And on the dose, the honest version from inside the system. In my case, it runs entirely on my word. Nobody's drawn a vial of blood over this. My pharmacist moves the dose based on what I tell them, which means your honesty is the whole input. Don't downplay a side effect to rush to the next dose, and don't oversell how rough it is to stay put. Tell them the truth, because the truth is the only thing they're staring by. This channel is the real story. It is not medical advice, and it was never meant to be. A few days of the scale going the wrong way, and the whole internet would have had me believe I hit a wall. Fortunately, I didn't buy it. Not because I'm tough or I'm specially smart, because I've learned to watch the trend and wait, instead of reacting to whatever the number does on any one morning. Here's the line I'd write on the bathroom mirror right under the one from the last episode. A bad week is a mood. It is not a plateau. A real plateau is a months-long thing that shows up half a year in or later, and it happens to almost everybody eventually. And count on me to walk you through it honestly when I get there. But if you're 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in and the scale freezes up, you're not failing. You didn't break it. Your body's just adjusting. The water's likely already gone and the scale's just being loud and dumb for a stretch. And the other half of that is the part that keeps me honest too. Right now, the scale's moving again. New all-time low, about 15.5 pounds down. And I'm not going to stand here and spike the ball. Same reason I didn't panic when it went quiet. I'm not going to celebrate 3 good days like it's the finish line. The discipline cuts both ways. Don't quit on a red week. Don't get cocky on a green one. Watch the trend. The number that matters is the one 3 months from now, not this morning. So hold the line, keep your protein up, keep moving, weigh the trend, and don't change your dose on your own. Reassess at the month, not the day, not the week. The month, because that's the whole game with this drug. The people who quit aren't the ones it stopped working for. They're the ones who reacted to a quiet scale at week 7 and walked away from something that was still doing its job underneath. Don't be that person. Be patient enough to let the slow part be slow. I've got a real DEXA scan in August that's going to tell us what these numbers actually mean, fat versus muscle. The receipt the scale can't give you. Subscribe, because that one's going to be honest whether it's good news or not. I'm hoping it's good, of course. And tell me down in the comments, if you're a vet on one of these drugs, what's the moment the internet almost talked you into quitting? I want to hear it, because somebody else needs to know, and they're not the only one. That's the report for this week. No spin, no hype, just one vet telling you the truth about the wall that wasn't there. And remember, we don't leave our own behind. God willing, I'll see you on the next one.